Meanwhile, the costume designer is busy crafting clothing concepts for the production. They may not start sewing the costumes until the actors are chosen, but there's a lot of prep work to get ready for that point. What's it like in the costume shop?
My process always starts with research, talking with the director and some sort of dialogue of like, why are we telling this story and why, what do you want it to say and where do you want it set and what's just kind of the general aesthetic or vibe.
My design process always starts with period research. What historical period is the play or production set in? What time was the story written in? What influences that all has? Having the historical context for what people are supposed to look like and what the story is trying to tell.
Is it, it's the 1940s and like, what does that look like? Is it the true 1940s or is it like a goofy, shticky kind of musical comedy kind of 1940s? And then it goes back to the script too. And then it's finding the specifics of, okay, well, somebody exits, this is the next day, they should have a new outfit or they should do this, or, oh, they leave on a train, so they need a jacket, or the mechanics, I suppose. All of those kind of get ironed out a little early. And then kind of from there, it starts to be, okay, well, why would this character be wearing this? And is it purple? And should it be purple? And is it exaggerated or is it really simple?
Because if clothes are going to represent the character, you want to have a good understanding of character first. Then you move on to making a drawing of what you want, just so you have a slightly more visual representation. And then after making a picture, going fabric shopping or pulling from stock that you might already have, then finding a pattern that also works, cutting that all out, drafting it up, and then it's all tailoring and finishing touches from there. The bulk of the work is actually, cutting and sewing, but it's probably the least brain-heavy part of the process. It goes all the way from designing to putting on buttons. That's kind of the hierarchy in costume spaces. The starting process, which is designing, coming up with the ideas for the time period, using that kind of as your basis, and then moving on towards the specific cuts that you want for certain characters, patterns, colors, that kind of thing. So that would be a designer.
Design elements that I love the most, just in general, are color and texture. So for me, I love a tight color palette usually, and it limits me in a good way, in a productive way. A couple years ago, I did Hello Dolly, and I knew like the chorus was going to be in like sepia tones. Then it helped me when I'm fabric shopping, instead of the world is my possibility, it's, okay, I'm looking for lovely browns and tans and creams and ivory, and as opposed to like, oh, well, that's a beautiful purple. It's like, no, don't look at purple. Like, you're looking for browns or tans. And I also love color linking people too. So if it's, oh, well, the chorus all has like a bit of that orange, or the royalty's got purple, but so does maybe this one character because their allegiance is a little to them. It's kind of Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. It's like, well, the girl in the red dress is going to get together with the guy in the red shirt. I like that kind of thing.
Then it moves on to people like drapers and cutters, people who actually cut out the fabric, and people who make the drafts, which are the patterns that you use to make clothes. Making costumes, you either have a self-drafted pattern, which is you take a piece of muslin on a dress form, making sure it's all straight up and down, using that, then drafting out the kind of shape that you want for the top of the garment, as well as how it flows down. And then for pattern pieces, it's really just following the pattern, pinning the fabric to the pattern that you have set out and cutting and following along those lines. And then moving on to people who actually put those cutout pieces together, put on the finishing touches, trims.
Oh my goodness, so this is the first show I've ever done where the costume has been made for me. And that has been so cool. Because for theater physics last year, theater physics, the nature of it is very much like, okay, we'll find you something. We've got tons of costumes already. But for this show, again, working with Emily and Mara, when they have such a vision for the project, she had this picture of what the summer princess dress would look like. And so then she went and she found fabric that was designed for the summer princess. And she built a dress because it was for the summer princess. And so to have that be me then has been amazing. I tell people putting on that dress is like 6-year-old me like freaking out, because it's just, it's amazing. I feel like Barbie Rapunzel.
And then kind of on the after side of that, after those clothes are all finished, something that I did a lot when I was a student here was I was the Wardrobe Supervisor, which basically means during productions, I am in charge of making sure people are dressed correctly, making sure clothes are not torn or destroyed, and if they are, to make sure that they're not torn or destroyed when people have to go on stage in those clothes. And then after production is finished, cleaning, maintaining, making any smaller repairs that weren't super necessary during show, after show, just so everything is maintained and ready to go for the next performance. I really enjoyed being a wardrobe person. I get to be a part of the hustle and bustle of live performances. Sleepy Hollow, I was in charge of doing all the quick changes. I helped people get out of the gunpowder prop costume, and I really enjoyed being the ghost hand in a live performance. I really liked being a part of the magic of making someone completely transform from one scene to another.
You have two kinds of costume changes, I'd say. The kind where you can take as much time as you want, and then the quick change. The quick changes are more fun. Your time to change is 2 lines. So you're running into the wings, just disrobing whatever you can, kind of hopping onto pants, and as you're going onto stage, you're kind of hopping on one foot into your pants and arriving on stage. Here I am, it's me, different character now. Those are the really fun ones. I enjoy quick changes. It's more of a science than art when you get to quick changing. This needs to happen, then this, and this, and this, in this particular order, in this amount of time. You know, when you have lots of time to change, it's just a normal change of clothes. Make sure that everything is where it needs to be. You know, collars are down and flies are up.